Feeling stuck in your DS relationship? You're not alone, and it's not your fault. Life gets in the way, roles feel routine, and suddenly the spark's just gone. But here's the good news. I know exactly how to help you get it back. I'm Alessandra from Dom Subliving. Let's make your dynamic feel alive again. Welcome to the Dom Subliving podcast. So we're talking about how to bring back the fire in your DS dynamic, even if life has gotten in the way. And this is so important because losing the spark in a DS dynamic, especially a long-term one, is incredibly common. I hear it from my students all the time that maybe they started off really, really strong, but now over time, they've kind of lost that kinky highness that they had from the very beginning. And me and my Dom are not immune to this either. We actually went through a phase really early on in our dynamic where we actually felt more like roommates than Dom sub partners because just the stress from work and health issues and kids, it was just all getting in the way. And I'm sure that sounds familiar to you too. But some examples of common situations that I see are when dominants maybe start feeling overwhelmed and then they start maybe disengaging from their role and their dynamic. And submissives can experience this too. Maybe they struggle with the repetitiveness of different protocols and they're just kind of feeling uninspired and just starting to go through the motion. So there's a lot of ways that this can manifest itself. So really think, can you remember the last time your dynamic gave you butterflies? Well, what if you could bring that rush of excitement back with just a few couple tweaks? And so that's what we're going to be covering in this episode. But why does this even happen to begin with? What are the common reasons for losing that spark? Well, there's three main reasons that I see, and that is just routine overload. So again, protocols are just becoming too much or too mechanical. Just the dynamic itself too becomes just more robotic. Maybe you're checking off a list instead of just really enjoying every moment. And then the second reason I see is just a lack of communication in general. So maybe, subtle frustrations kind of go unspoken. So something small kind of just snowballs until it leads to disconnection in the dynamic. And then the third reason I see is external stressors. So this is things like life, work, parenting, all the things that all of us experience, just kind of interfering with our dynamic. So take a moment to think, what's one thing you think has caused the spark to fade in your dynamic? Maybe it's actually a few things or a combination of things. So really take the time to figure out what it is first. You can even journal about it too. But what are some actionable solutions? So that's why you came here. That's what you want to know. So the first really big way to combat this is to really revisit your foundation of the dynamic. So reflect on what brought you together as a Dom and sub in the first place. Why did you both embark on this journey? So an example of this in my own dynamic. So my Dom and I recently reread our original contract, and it just really reminded us how young and excited and ambitious we were in the beginning. And we kind of laughed at it a little bit because it just, we've changed so much over the years, but it also reignited that spark and showed us how we used to feel about BDSM. So I want you to think about, when was the last time you revisited either your contract or your agreements in general, your rituals, and go over those again. I bet you'll be really surprised at how excited you were in the beginning to want to do all of these things. And then the second way you can kind of bring back that spark is just to add variety to your dynamic. So try new things together. When you're trying new things together, you create new pathways even in your brain, and you create those endorphins in your body. So explore new kinks or activities. Change the setting of your scene. So if you usually just do your scenes in your bedroom, try doing something outdoors or even in a new room in your house. So just trying to create more novelty in your relationship can really help. And one thing we like to do is if we've done a scene a certain way, we like to add something new by maybe adding sensory. So maybe using a blindfold or even just different textures or even different music. If you're usually using somber, music, try something more upbeat and energetic and or vice versa. And you can really see the energy shift. But maybe there's a kink you've been curious about wanting to try, but you haven't explored it yet. So take this as the kick in the pants to maybe start exploring something new with your partner. And then the third way to really reignite that spark is just to deepen your communication. And I know this doesn't sound exciting or sexy, but I'm sorry, you have to schedule these intentional conversations. So I'm always talking about this, but me and my partner, we do weekly check-ins, and even just asking something simple as how's our dynamic feeling for you can go a long way. There's other prompts you can do, like what's one thing you'd love to try this week. So that can really just start the conversation. So we even started ending our scenes with the question, what did you love most about that scene? Or what did you love most about what we did? And it just really has opened up some beautiful conversations. But I know you may have some objections to all of this, and you may be thinking, well, what if my partner isn't even interested? What if I've been trying to bring back the kink and the spark, but what if they're just not even interested? So the solution for this is just to start small. So just have really low pressure ideas. So maybe focus on reigniting that spark and energy with yourself first. The more that we're excited about these things, it can kind of rub off. And I know that's the case for me when I'm really focused on my submission and serving my dominant with energy and enthusiasm. It's contagious and it rubs off on him. And then he's more energetic in his role as a dominant too. And then we're just feeding off of each other, and it just really creates that energy in our dynamic. And then another objection I hear from people, and you may be feeling this too, is what if it feels awkward bringing this up? Because no one wants to say to their partner, hey, like things feel weird or off. And, maybe it's been going on for days, weeks, months, but maybe even years that you've just felt like you don't have this kinky spark anymore and things have kind of faded. And now just bringing it up just feels tense and awkward. I mean, no one really wants to have these conversations. So my advice would just be to make it really casual. Use casual language, maybe even just humor too. You can just simply say something like, hey, remember when we used to do X, Y, and Z? Let's bring that back. It was so fun and I really enjoyed it. You don't have to make a big deal about this. If you just notice that you haven't been doing it, even if it's a long time, just tell your partner simply like, hey, remember when we used to do that? Like, I really enjoyed it. Like, do you think we can do it this weekend? It doesn't have to be this high pressure, serious conversation where then you're, arguing and fighting. So again, just make it really super casual and light. But I do have some long-term strategies for you to kind of prevent this from even happening. So first of all, build small daily rituals that can really help. So even just small things like morning affirmations or a simple text, having specific daily protocols or acts of service can just really go a long way. One thing even my dom has me do is, because I get his breakfast ready the night before when he goes to work. I set the coffee timer and everything. And one thing he likes me to do is just leave like a small note, like either I write it on his breakfast or something, or just put a sticky note on the coffee pot, just something, either loving or kinky, whatever I'm feeling in that moment. And it's just like a small act, and it keeps me in the submissive mindset. And then when he sees it in the morning, then it starts his day off with being in that dominant mindset. So having, small daily rituals can really help keep that, kink alive and that flame alive and going. And then my other tip is just to invest in resources. So engage with community and educational resources. And when you're invested in something, you kind of have skin in the game and you're more likely to stay committed to it. We do have our all access pass, and our members in that have said that, hearing how other couples have reignited their dynamics has given them lots of ideas for, increasing the kinkiness and the fun in their own dynamic. And in the All Access Pass too, we even have monthly one-to-one coaching with me. So I can, help you get back on track and stay on track. But you can check that out at domsubliving.com/all access. I'll have a link for it in the description too. But my key takeaways are to revisit your foundation. Why are you doing this? Add variety into your dynamic and strengthen your communication to reignite that spark. But remember, every dynamic has its ups and downs, and what matters is the effort you put into reconnecting. But I love to know, what's one tip you're most excited to try? Let me know in the comments. If you found this episode helpful, hit the subscribe button for more ways to keep your DS lifestyle thriving. But until next time, keep embracing your power and pleasure through Dom Subliving.